You could say that a lot of Cartoon Network shows are what some would call peak cinema. Regular Show, Adventure Time, The Amazing World of Gumball, and Steven Universe were all shows that had amazing stories, humor, and passion poured into them. And I'm guessing you recognize these names because they've also become sort of mainstream. But rather than ranting about these more well known shows, I will be talking about one that has been somewhat forgotten in time. A show that, in my eyes, is underrated, and may even be one of the greatest children's shows to date. I am, of course, talking about Uncle Grandpa. I am, of course, talking about Clarence. If you don't know much about Clarence, that makes total sense. I know for a fact that many people who have had this show recommended to them when they were younger assume that it was a disgusting, but joke-filled brain rot of a TV show. But I'm here to tell you that this is a complete 180 of what this show actually is. Before I get knee-deep into how this show is so completely underrated, I do want to bring up the elephant in the room.
You want some spaghetti?
The show's creator, Skylar Page, has been accused of some silly, goofy behavior. If you want to learn about that, go somewhere else because I'm here separating the art from the artist. Some people really do not like this show, so let's see what they think is so bad. Looking at some Google reviews, a lot of people are saying that he is incorrectly showing what being autistic is like. To counter this, AI Overview has told me that he is not confirmed to have autism, and people just assume it. AI Overview is never wrong, and can someone please tell me how to turn this off? Another reviewer says, not good because it was not entertaining and most episodes the plot was very confusing. Clarence is also a big bozo, would Joe is fat. Well, I can tell you have a kind soul there, Nicholas. Your IP address is 177.229. This review says that the show is dumb, but they are glad that Tom Kenny is in it. But then they say they've never seen it. So as you can see, they have some compelling arguments. And for my rebuttal, now that that is taken care of, and just so everyone is on the same page, here are some characters you'll need to know. We have Clarence, our main character, we have Sumo, one of Clarence's best friends, and we have Jeff, another one of Clarence's best friends. There are tons of other characters, but these are the core three of the show. With all of this context out of the way, let's get into it. To start, I just want to say that this show's animation is top tier. It perfectly captures the imaginative world of their town of Aberdale that we're brought into. From subtle background movement to all of the small details we encounter as the trio makes their way around their town. It all makes us feel like we are seeing the world through the characters' eyes. It is a perfect mix of grit and cartoony style that I have grown so incredibly fond of. On top of the animation, the adventures that these characters go on are crazy. From a basic birthday party to sword fighting in a fun dungeon, or becoming emo, or going into others' dreams, or doing a town-wide water balloon fight, or surviving a massive storm. The creativity in each episode helps the show shine in its own way. There's an episode where they literally just follow a lizard around all day. And what's crazy is that this is one of my favorite episodes. The premise is so simple, yet the entire time it holds my interest until the last second. Our characters throughout the entire series learn from each other and grow as people. And it's not just for that single episode either. Each episode you can notice the subtle changes in them. Sumo learns to be more independent and to take more pride in his work. Jeff learns that sometimes it's okay to step outside of your comfort zone, and that the world has so much to offer if you let it offer it to you in the first place. And Clarence learns that even though you're away from your friends sometimes, they'll still be there for you in the end. There are so many other things I could say, but instead of hearing me talk about it, go watch it yourself. Give it a true and honest try. I really do think that Clarence is an amazing children's show. It teaches that there is so much more to life if you go and explore the world around you, and that anything can be made fun if you try hard enough. If you get one thing from this video, it would be to go watch this show. I could go on and on, but I really want you to experience it on your own. Go watch it. Trust me, it is worth every second. From here on, I will be talking about a few episodes that really stand out to me. And to kick that off, we have Jeff Wins. Jeff Wins centers around, well, Jeff. Ever since Jeff was little, he entered a yearly cook-off against some old ladies, and every year, Jeff thinks his dish isn't good enough and throws it away. This year, Jeff isn't even leaving his room, so his parents have no choice but to ask Clarence to support Jeff and to give him as much help as he can. Clarence makes his way to Jeff's room, screaming into a megaphone that he should come out of his room and then no one will get hurt. Jeff finally gives in and Clarence brings him back downstairs. This leads to one of the many, and one of my personal favorite, musical numbers in the show, Uptight as Jeff.
Sometimes my life can be a bit on edge when things don't go my way.
Where's that music coming from?
And all I want to do is hide behind life's hedge or lie down to decay. But all in all, when I feel small and want to run away,
I just think of these keywords that brighten up my day. At least I'm not as uptight as you, Jeff.
Clarence sings about how Jeff is so picky about his life. Sumo joins in for an amazing piano part, and Jeff promptly asks,
Sumo, where'd you come from?
The song finishes with a bunch of dancers, similar to the Family Guy intro, singing about how uptight Jeff is. Clarence finishes singing and drags Jeff to the kitchen to cook something. We get a small montage of Jeff and Clarence finishing the dish, and Clarence tops it off with a whole jar of cranberry sauce. Jeff gets reminded that this is all for the cook-off, and promptly tries to escape. He gets caught, and is then dragged to the cook-off where he sees his competition. Clarence thinks nothing of the sweet old ladies, but Jeff is very adamant on how competitive these women are. The ladies walk away as Clarence approaches with the dish and he tries a piece. He hates it, so he switches the name tags in hopes that maybe that could mean Jeff's victory. The mayor tries all of the pieces and gives Jeff the victory. Also, the food that Clarence and Jeff made was considered hazardous and radioactive, and since the names were switched, a random old lady was taken into custody. What a happy ending. What makes this episode stand out is not just the uptight as Jeff song, but the moral behind the episode is very important. People shouldn't be so hung up on perfection, but instead should focus on the work that they do put into it and what they are learning from the experience. And by the end, even with the fact that he's somewhat cheated, Jeff still learns that he should do things because he enjoys it, not just because he wants to be perfect. The next episode in the analysis is Dreamboat. This episode is centered around Sumo. He was put in detention and has to fill out a form about why he's in there in the first place. The first two questions are pretty basic, but the last question really trips him up. It asks what he wants most in life and how he is going to achieve that. He turns in his test and the principal rips it in half, calling it, and Sumo, a joke. He tells Sumo to come back next week, hoping for a better response on the test. Later that day, the main three are hanging out at Sumo's, and he keeps looking at the last question on the test. His dad comes outside and tells Clarence and Jeff to leave so Sumo can do his chores. By the time he finishes, it's dinner time with his family. Sumo listens in on a conversation about his dad's friend having a boat, and without hesitation, he yells out that he's going to build a boat himself. Most of his family continues as they were, but his dad shows some hesitation towards his boat idea. That next morning, he begins working on it. He spends roughly 3 days continuously working on this boat, all by himself, when Clarence finally stops by to help. Sumo gets annoyed with Clarence, and so he promptly leaves. At school, Sumo says sorry to Clarence for getting so mad, but restates multiple times that he needs to finish his boat. Sumo's dad comes by to talk to him that night, and tells him that they aren't near any water, so the boat can't go anywhere. This makes Sumo extremely upset, and in his furious state, he breaks the boat. Clarence and Jeff show up suddenly and offer to help Sumo. He accepts, and they work hard to finish a new and improved boat design. When they're done, Sumo's brother offers to drive them and the boat to a dock. They push the boat into the water and it actually floats for a bit. But then it sinks. Sumo writes about his experience on building the boat and how boats are important to him. This moves the principal, and the episode ends. This episode was one of the first I ever saw, and was one of the reasons I fell in love with this show so much. It shows that you should strive to do things that make you happy, and that if you put enough effort into something and you're proud of it, you'll feel accomplished. And that's why I love this show. It teaches important lessons that both kids and adults should know about life. After seeing the growth of Sumo and Jeff, I'm here to talk about the final episode of this analysis. All about the main man himself, Clarence. And this episode is titled Mystery Girl. Mystery Girl begins with a small advertisement about how people miss doorbells with extremely over-exaggerated scenarios. The product is called the Ding Dong Dinger and does this. Clarence, Sumo, and Jeff all crowd around a phone to try and order a Ding Dong Dinger. Jeff attempts to do a prank call, but fails. Here's his attempt.
Hi, are you enjoying this fine Friday? That's funny, because it's Saturday! Oh, easy.
The group continues pranking people until suddenly, Clarence calls a supposed alien. She later says her name is Bella, and they begin talking all evening. The boys attempt to keep themselves busy as he talks to Bella, but they ultimately decide to leave since he's been talking to her for so long. They continue talking more and more every day, learning so much about each other until Clarence asks her to come to dinner. Obviously, this doesn't happen the way you'd expect. Instead of her being there, she's just put on a speakerphone. It ends up being too quiet, so they just go back to calling normally. Another day has passed, and Sumo and Jeff come to Clarence and ask if he wants to go hang out at the old English lady's house. He gets really excited, but then he realizes that he's talking to Bella, so the other two get upset and leave. Clarence starts daydreaming about what Sumo and Jeff are doing and forgets to respond to Bella as she is talking. She tells him that she will talk to him later, and so he heads to hang out with the other two. He tells them about what happened, but they don't seem to acknowledge it. Clarence realizes that today was her birthday and calls her a bunch, waiting for a response. He eventually fills up the voicemail inbox, and Bella's mom overhears everything he said. Clarence's mom and Bella's mom arrange a meetup for the two, and Clarence freezes with excitement. On the way to the meetup, Clarence gets extremely nervous to meet her. They finally see each other for the first time, and they're really shy at first. Eventually, They warm up to each other, swing together, and hold hands. This episode has one of my favorite morals. Being honest and open with people is super important in all relationships, even friendly or family relationships. It also teaches that we should enjoy the moment while it's here, rather than focusing solely on the future of the past. This show has truly changed my life for the better, and I hope this can shed some light on why and how it did that. I want to say again, give this show a try. Watch a few episodes and see what you think. You never know what you like until you try it. If you ended up liking this, subscribe, like, and please comment your thoughts. And if this does well enough, I'll do an analysis of the hour-long Capture the Flag special, or even the Storm Sleepover saga. Thank you for watching.